Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Elul's installment of the Hashkaf in the Workplace VAD. I'm just going to share a 3-minute thought, and then I'm going to introduce the Rav. You say the Sherish HaAveda in the beginning of Shara Mayim, when he talks about the Aveda of Elul, he says an interesting concept. He says telling people that they need to do tshuva for Averis that they did, for big Averis that they did, is not Elul related, and it's not something that people need to be told. Everybody understands that if they did things that are, grossly in error, they need to rectify them. He says the Aveda of Elul is to look for the small things, the habitual things, the things that are just become habit, the hutrulay ones, and those are the ones that a person is supposed to work on in Elul. Now the examples that he chooses to use are examples about saying Shem Shemayim without kavanah or saying brachas without intentionality, which are, examples that pop up in a person's daily life, and the way he counts it, a person could have hundreds or thousands of occurrences of these Averis in his daily life. Now, the Rosh, in explaining the Mishnah in Peah in the end of the first parak, the Rosh explains, he says, Yoser Ratzu Lefnei HaBoreh mitzvahs sheben adam lechaveri yoser mitzvahs sheben adam lemakom. He says mitzvahs that affect how people interact with their fellow are even more important HaKadosh Baruch Hu than just the mitzvahs that are ben adam lemakom. So I was thinking another very easy occurrence for the Yisei L'Sherish HaAveda's thought is in people's business life, in their daily life. There's dozens, hundreds, thousands of times over a person's year as he's engaged in business where it's easy to develop, muscle memory and bad habits, and Elul is the ultimate time to correct those type of errors. Now, I was thinking about it, it's more than just an obligation, it's also a privilege in a certain sense, and I'll explain what I mean with the story. During the 1950s and 60s, there was a big fight in Eretz Yisrael about Nituchei Mesim, about autopsies for the dead. Now, the Tzitz Eliezer, who was the Rav of Shari Tzedek Hospital, he was engaged in this extensively, and he wrote many kontresim on the matter. And in one of his kontresim, he references that he was sitting at a meeting with many doctors in Shari Tzedek Hospital, and he overheard a doctor, Professor Mayer, I think his name was, who got up with a man who looked for him with a beard and payas, and he told his fellow doctors, all these Friar professors who were sitting there, he says, you should know that I'm not a religious person. They look at him, you look like a religious person. He says, no, I'll explain to you what I mean. I'm not a religious person, and I have a lesson to impart to you. He says, when I was a doctor in Vienna in the 20s, a long time ago, I once had the privilege of being visited by the Chafetz Chaim, who came to me to deal with an ailment that he was suffering with. And at the end of my treatment, I was kind, I was good to him. The Chafetz Chaim looked at me and he said, young man, you helped me, I want to return the favor and help you. I want to give you some advice, he says. So I know you're not religious, and you don't want musar, but every day you engage in chesed with your fellow man. If you just would have in mind that you want to be mekayim chesed and bikur chaylim as you do this, you don't know how many mitzvahs you could grab up along the way. And he says, what happened is I started obsessing about it. I was thinking, I could do chesed, I could do bikur chaylim. Then I was thinking, I visit my parents every morning. That's kibbut av v'em, I could get that for free. And one thing led to another. Before you knew it, I was picking easy mitzvahs that even if I wasn't doing them until now, but it's easy to incorporate this in my life, keep doing it. Before you knew it, I'm a firm person who keeps everything from the Torah mitzvahs. And he says, I implore you, doctors sitting in this committee, to realize your opportunity that you're in a profession that involves mitzvahs, you're in a profession that helps people. You could make it with a little bit of intentionality. You could turn what you're doing, the mundane, into a very holy avodah. So not only is, and the obvious, what I'm trying to say, the point is not only is it a responsibility in Elul to clean our books and to try to root out any habits that are problematic, it's a privilege because everyday actions could become mitzvahs, just add to the tally every single day. Now, in light of that, it's our privilege and our honor to have Rabbi Marburger, who's a world-renowned expert in the halachic minusha of all these various inyanim that could be very helpful to us. I just want to say that Rabbi Marburg encourages everybody to hack in with any questions you have. He's going to say an engaging share on topics that are relevant to these matters. If you have something to add or to ask, don't be shy.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.